Next question says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mufti, I have a question. Learning about the Prophet Seerah sallallahu and the Shariah of his people and the sins they committed, between parentheses, music and adultery. Out of parentheses, where can I find the text to support this? Very little is mentioned in what I found. We say, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you want to know about the rulings on things that are permissible or impermissible, things in which there's a difference of opinion on, then you have to go back to the sources, the proper sources. And alhamdulillah, many of those sources are translated in English. Rather, we have some books that have been written, many books that have been written and put forth in English on these topics. I would advise you to keep things simple and easy. Al-Kaba'ir, the major sins of Imam al-Dhahabi, rahimahullah. There's also a translation of Ibn Abdul Wahhab's version of the major sins. Okay, first and foremost is the Quran al-Kareem. You have the verses that talk about sin, that talk about murder, that talk about eating the wealth of the orphans, that talk about accusing chaste, believing women, the verses that speak about fleeing from the battlefield, the verses that speak about ashirk billah, and the list goes on. Also, you have different books of tafsir that are in English that explain those verses, give commentary on those verses, exegesis on those verses, and also mention the hadith that pertain to those verses. Let alone the other Islamic books of jurisprudence, the books of hadith, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. These books, they have chapters of sins, chapters of the Day of Judgment, chapters of melting the heart. The list goes on. There's a ton of information that you can find on sins, the lives of the Sahaba, how some of them reformed themselves and turned into different people. You can read this information in the books of Seerah, the books of hadith, the books of ayat on the Quran. There are many places to do this. And before we move on, it's very important to understand that knowing where to find the proofs and evidences, knowing where to find the different arguments, knowing the sources of these issues is a level of knowledge in itself. Alright, as a wise man once said, that a big part of being strong in knowledge, ma'rifatu mavan al-masail, is knowing where to find the issues. That in itself is knowledge. Okay, I may not have memorized the issue, I may not know the issue in and out, but I know I can find it in this book, for example, on page 50. I know I can find it in volume 10, okay? For example, I've read an issue here, and volume 19, Ibn Abdul Barr, his Tamheed, the Sharh of the Muwatta of Malik bin Anas, rahimahullah ta'ala. I've read something in here some years ago, and somebody comes up and they ask me again, and I say, oh, we can find right here a proof for issue so-and-so and so-and-so. So reading books, researching, going to the library, having a library in your house is crucial. And you don't always have to memorize everything. But if you know where to find it and where to go back to, it will help you out. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can't get into that right now. And that's a whole separate concept of studying.